The AFC North just got flipped on its head, and trust me, Browns fans, you're going to want to hear this one. Imagine a power shift so big it could shake up the entire division. A move that doesn't just make headlines, but changes the trajectory of a season. That's exactly what just happened, and it involves your Cleveland Browns in a way nobody saw coming. So buckle up, because while the offseason has already been filled with drama, trades, and speculation, this latest move, it's shocking. The Browns just sent Dillon Gabriel packing to the Minnesota Vikings. That's right, the young quarterback with all the upside in the world, gone. And now the million-dollar question, why? Why move a player who looked like he could be a key piece of the future? To understand it, let's back things up. Cleveland's quarterback room has been a hot topic all offseason long. On one hand, you've got experience. On the other, raw potential. And somewhere in the middle, uncertainty. Dillon Gabriel was part of that mix, along with Shedeur Sanders, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett. That's a crowded room. But with all that depth, reality sets in. There was no way the Browns were going to keep everyone. Someone had to go. Now, Gabriel isn't just any rookie. His resume is impressive. From UCF to Oklahoma to Oregon, he carved up defenses for years. Over 18,700 passing yards, 155 touchdowns, and only 32 interceptions. That's not just experience, that's production. And when he stepped onto the NFL stage, he didn't exactly shrink. Take that preseason game against the Eagles. Gabriel went 13 for 18, threw for 143 yards, and led a touchdown drive on his very first possession as the starter. That's poise. That's potential. And that's exactly why Minnesota pounced. But here's where it gets interesting. Why did Cleveland let him go? The answer lies in strategy. The Browns aren't flying blind here. They're playing the long game. Yes, Gabriel has talent, but the Browns need stability. They need someone who can step in right now, keep the offense moving, and manage the game when it matters most. Gabriel, for all his upside, is still raw. And Cleveland, looking at the bigger picture, decided to cash in on that potential rather than gamble on his development timeline. Now, let's flip this around and look at Minnesota. The Vikings have their franchise quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, but behind him? Not much. Sam Howell and Brett Rippon weren't inspiring confidence. One injury to McCarthy, and their season could spiral. Gabriel changes that. He's an upgrade, a spark, and maybe even a future starter if things play out differently than expected. And for him, learning under Kevin O'Connell's system could be a game-changer. It's a quarterback-friendly offense, and it's a perfect spot for him to develop while waiting in the wings. So, where does that leave Cleveland? At first glance, it feels like a loss. Giving up a promising quarterback always stings. But zoom out, and the picture changes. The Browns are clearing the runway. They're doubling down on what they believe works now, not 3 years from now. That means solidifying the roster, maybe adding a veteran, maybe strengthening elsewhere, offensive line depth, defensive reinforcements, you name it. And let's not forget, the Browns already have the weapons. Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, a defense that's been tightening the screws every single season. The only question has been consistency at quarterback. This trade tells us the Browns are not afraid to make the hard decisions to get there. They're not clinging to potential. They're shaping a roster built to compete today. But here's the part one find most fascinating. This could be a turning point for Cleveland's culture. For years, the Browns were the team that held on to what-if players, hoping they'd develop, hoping they'd be the next big thing. Now, they're ruthless. They're pragmatic. And honestly, that's how contenders operate. They make bold moves. They're willing to sacrifice upside for certainty. And in a division as brutal as the AFC North, where every game is a dogfight, certainty matters. Think about it. The Ravens aren't going anywhere. The Bengals still have Joe Burrow. The Steelers, for all their ups and downs, always find a way to grind out wins. For Cleveland to break through, they need more than just hope. They need a plan. And moves like this, as painful as they look at first, are part of that bigger plan. Now, let's talk about what this means for the season ahead. The Browns are signaling they're all in on the here and now. They want a quarterback room that's battle-tested, not just full of potential. They want flexibility, they want depth, and they want a roster that can pivot when injuries inevitably happen. Trading Gabriel creates that flexibility. It's the kind of move that, come November, we might look back on and say, that's when Cleveland really defined who they are. But of course, this is where I turn it over to you. What do you think, Browns fans? Did the front office just make a smart, calculated play that sets us up for a deeper playoff run? Or are we going to regret letting a young talent like Gabriel slip away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm curious to see how you're all reading this one. And before we keep going, quick reminder, if you're enjoying this breakdown and want the latest Cleveland Browns news to keep hitting your feed, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Browns Breakout. It's the easiest way to stay in the loop and support the channel. Here's the bottom line. The Browns aren't sitting back. They're shaping their destiny, piece by piece. And while only time will tell if this trade pays off, one thing is certain. The team is not afraid to make bold, gutsy moves in pursuit of greatness. And as a fan base that's waited long enough, that should be music to our ears. The season is almost here. The pieces are falling into place. And if this is the kind of firepower the Browns are bringing to the table, then buckle up. It's going to be one unforgettable ride.